Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the I-5 Corridors Traffic Report. Tyson, Alger here, joined by Justin Myers on a beautiful August Tuesday morning. How are you doing, Justin?
I'm doing great. I couldn't help but notice, and this for the YouTube viewers, and maybe we can, if you're listening to this on the audio version, maybe you could go back and watch the YouTube version, pump up our numbers a little bit. But Tyson, I couldn't help but notice last week, I mentioned that at my real job, my other job, I received, kind of an award.
The parking spot.
And part of that award, I received an award, and then part of that award was I get my own parking spot. And then this week I walk in and your AP 2025 Sports Award just popped up here on set. I thought that was mighty curious that just out of nowhere.
I mean, luckily this is just an audio format, and there's no possible way that this could be me just trying to slightly humble brag. But yeah, no, that does say first place. I had to figure that out because I've never had those letters in that combination in front of my name before. But yeah, I'm glad you noticed.
Does it come with a parking spot though?
It's got a driveway.
Like, do you?
That's sometimes I'm allowed to park in.
At media parking, do you, real quick, AP Sports Editors Award winner.
Yeah.
You guys have a special section for that? And the guy who's getting paid like $50 a day is like, no, right over there, please.
See, they used to have a sign, but they don't print anymore, and so now it's
all digital.
You didn't check the app?
Yeah, it's a tough beat. It's a tough beat.
It's a 5-star app. You should try it.
But hey, congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so we are here in the second week of fall camp.
Yeah,
I've hit Ducks camp a few times. We have some comments to dig into from Oregon State because we want to see what that new Pac-12. It is Pac-12, but how many? There's eight teams.
8 teams. Yeah, I think if I could go back in I think the Big Ten is the one responsible for this numbers nonsense. I think the Big Ten was the first one because it started early 90s. The Big Ten brought in Penn State, created 11 teams. That's why you saw the logo back in the day where it would have the big, then there was the number 1.
Yeah.
And inside the 0 of the 10 was another number 1. So there was like a hidden 11 in there, but it was the Big Ten. So they started.
Did they use the same logo designers that the Portland Fire did when they're like, no, you can see Mount Hood.
Mount Hood is in there, and if
it just looks like that cool S that you'd make in 3rd grade, like trying to kill.
Stussy S.
Yeah.
I think it might have been the same. That same firm is just here's what is it you guys specialize in? We put stuff inside of logos. Have you ever noticed the Washington Capitals? There's a capital in there.
We screwed up so much in our lives, Justin, because I think the 2 best jobs out there in this realm, because we used to think that watching and talking about sports, but turns out we're only making 6 figures off of this podcast. But it's either
what are the figures?
It's either figurines. We got a Diego Chara bobblehead down there, but I think it's either the people who get to explain a logo redesign, put the little footnotes in the margins, as well as this is what your baseball stadium could look like.
Artist renderings of baseball stadiums.
Yeah.
See how awesome it could be.
I mean, how many badass renderings have we had of the Portland Diamond Project Stadium at this point?
We almost had 3 awesome stadiums.
What was your favorite location?
The North Waterfront is still my favorite look.
Yeah.
I am obsessed with baseball stadiums that are up against water. I know that the Giants Stadium, I don't know what it's called. Is it some bank?
It used to be AT&T.
It was AT&T.
Or wasn't it Pac Bell for a hot minute?
Originally Pac Bell, then AT&T Park. I think it's
I hate when they get rid of my original corporate sponsors as the names.
But the McCovey Cove is, that's one of the coolest things in all the baseball. Even before that, the make-believe water fountain in Kansas City, forever. When I was a kid.
That was my favorite stadium when I was a kid just because it had the water fountains.
Bo Jackson would hit the ball in the water fountain.
And they're talking about moving that, or Kansas City changing stadiums. And in my head, I'm going, why would you change? That's the coolest stadium in baseball.
Kauffman Stadium.
Yeah.
Clearly topped it. So I always liked the idea of the North Waterfront, and somehow, some way, having a baseball land in the Willamette River seems awesome to me. Lloyd Center looked kind of cool.
Yeah.
By the way, RIP Lloyd Center officially shut its doors.
Did that do anything for you?
I had already said my goodbyes to
Yeah.
the Lloyd Center like 3
fif-
years ago.
like 15 years ago.
Yeah, like as an actual consumer.
You went
you're
into
right.
you
It
went
was
into
like-
Hot Topic for one final time.
You know, actually, I can tell you exactly the last time I went into Lloyd Center, and it's funny because it's become a meme, but it's true. Years ago, wife and I got invited to a Halloween party last-ish minute, and we're like, we don't have Halloween costumes. Went to a Spirit Halloween inside Lloyd Center, and that was, I think, the last time I actually did some actual shopping at the Lloyd Center. But I have great memories of like school field trips.
Did you ever skate there?
I never skated at Lloyd Center. No. When
I always wondered if the Lloyd Center
Lane County Ice, though, I took some turns at Lane County Ice. Yeah.
I always wondered if like the Lloyd Center Zamboni driver is like dreaming of the day he gets called up to the big leagues and gets to like do a full sheet of ice.
Mm-hmm. You start studying.
You know, he's just. It was like me in Little League where our pitchers suck and I'm in right field and I'm miming pitching motions, even though I can't hit the target either.
But yeah, I remember when I was a kid, we would take field trips. You get like an all-day field trip to Portland. It was like the coolest thing ever. And then you would get like an hour at the mall. And I was in, this is my lasting memory of Lloyd Center. I was in 8th grade. We came up for a leadership conference and don't remember anything about the leadership conference, but I do remember us stopping at Lloyd Center to get lunch and kind of run around the mall before we took the very long bus ride back down to Winston. And this was before cell phones, Tyson. This was before any way of communicating other than word of mouth, but word of mouth spread that you could buy the explicit lyrics CDs at the Sam Goody in Portland because the burnout kid behind the counter did not care that 8th graders were buying the Snoop Dogg CD. And boy, did we clean up.
That same guy must have gotten a job at Grizz Grocery, which was right by our house my sophomore year in Missoula, who also didn't seem to care about what age you were for whatever you were buying.
Exactly right.
Love that guy.
Yeah. That guy's awesome. Yeah. So anyways, all that being said, RIP Lloyd Center. It'll be missed.
I think one of the last times I went there was because they used to have the movie theater in there, which was confusing because you also have the movie theater across the street. And we went and saw Snowden there. Remember, like the whole espionage, and there was a little bit of controversy around the movie just because it's like very political, and we saw like a late showing in the Lloyd Center on like the top level, and they had locked the mall before the movie had gotten out. So like we didn't like we got to spend an extra like 30 minutes just trying to get out of the mall.
Yeah,
at, like,
it's very like Saved by the Bell.
Yeah,
we're like spend the night in the mall to get U2 tickets.
And there was people who were worried, and I'm like, look, I'm a sports reporter. I've been locked in like a lot of stadiums because I've finished too late. I got this, and we found a emergency exit.
Have you ever, like, when was the last time you were in a locked stadium? I know
Reeser.
Reeser.
It was Civil War. Actually, it was the COVID Civil War. So it was already creepy. There was nobody in the stadium to start. Beavers win that game. It's foggy as hell. Car horns are ringing out around like the city, and I didn't even think we took that long. But yeah, no, they locked that thing up quick. There was one person on the beat who may have gotten high centered on the fence because like we didn't find a door. We had to climb over.
You had to climb a fence.
And there was one person, and not me. I'm not doing that like awkward like third person. I'm embarrassed about it. But yeah, no, not everybody cleaned the fence so clearly and needed some help.
Speaking of Reeser, Oregon State football.
See, this is why you're a pro.
Yep.
This is why you're
new Oregon State head coach made some headlines this week. So JaMarcus Shephard is the head coach at Oregon State.
Who, like, by the way, up until and I don't even think this is a measure of like him doing well or not, but like up until fall camp started, they've had a lot of positive momentum. It's you've gotten rid of, kind of just the disaster of last year. You brought in some new energy. The guy's done really well on the recruiting trail in relation to Oregon State standing, but does he think they're going to be any good this year, Justin?
It sounds like there's going to be some adversity. So he came out and recently kind of gave a plea to fans, and he knows the job in front of him, which if I'm an Oregon State fan, I'd be quite happy about this part. It feels like, Tyson, the last two coaches. And look, what happened to the Pac-12 was awful. Like, what happened to the Pac-12 sucked. And Oregon State and Washington State ultimately got screwed in the entire deal. Everybody else found homes, some homes better than other, like the Big Ten. I don't know if Stanford and Cal like the ACC, but it's still, a port in any storm, as they say. And Oregon State and Washington State, they got screwed, and so they have to now rebuild the Pac-12. And it felt like the last couple of coaches from, the end of
Trent Bray or Jonathan Smith.
The end of Jonathan Smith and then into Trent Bray, it was a lot of like, we're still mad about this.
Yeah.
We're still pissed off about this. This shouldn't be happening. This is unfair. And it feels like this new coach is like, yeah, that sucked, but we got to do what we got to do. And being kind of realistic about, we're going to try to be our best in this new Pac-12. But in that sense, like if you look at their schedule, I think they play Texas Tech like week 2. Like it's going to be brutal.
Yeah.
And I think they're picked to finish last in the new Pac-12. Now I don't know what that means in the grand scheme of things because there's still so much uncertainty.
Was that a coach's poll or a media poll or who?
That's a good question. I'm not sure
who put that together,
or if somebody just decided that. One
guy
was just like, "Hey, I'll vote."
I'll admit I've been too wrapped up in trying to catch back up on Duck stuff after gallivanting around as a soccer writer for the summer that I haven't done my Oregon State research yet. But when I heard that they were picked last in the poll, it was like, really? Like, all right.
Also, like we talked about it last week on the pod about how the coaches poll was meaningless before. Now it's even more meaningless now. The media preseason conference poll in a conference that is newly rebuilt, featuring a bunch of teams that lost so many players to the transfer portal.
And the conference lost a lot of good, smart media members.
Very true.
Yeah.
Carries about as much weight as I think that coaches poll does. I'm not sure how on earth you could create an idea of where teams are going to finish in this new Pac-12.
It's kind of like the ESPN way too early NCAA tournament projection that came out like 2 months ago. They're like Oregon Ducks. It's like there's nobody on that team.
They are all gone. Everybody has left. There's even some coaches that are gone too. So the Beavers were picked to finish last. They've got a brutal non-conference to begin the season. They're going to collect some paychecks, and their head coach comes out and talks right into the camera and says, "Hey, we need you to stick with us. We're going to go through some adversity this season."
How did Trent Bray handle the preseason last year? Was he doing we're going to fight as hard as we can? Maybe we'll upset, but like was he trying to smooth over what was about to happen a little bit, or was it just like?
No, I feel like it was very much like we're
still very proud.
Like we know what this this program is built on. And
so what they went 1-11 last year,
bad. And culminating with him ultimately getting let go in the middle of the season, and him dropping an F-bomb in the middle of a halftime interview. Like things went bad. Like they went from bad to worse, and they spiraled out of control. And a lot of that might have came from maybe some unrealistic expectations. So my question is, one thing I do love about this pod is that I get to speak from a fan's perspective and you get to speak from a media perspective, and we kind of find our common ground. Do we want coaches to be honest? Is that ultimately what we want? From a fan's perspective, I don't know if we do.
Yeah, well,
I think we want to be lied to.
It's fascinating right now because we kind of are dealing with the opposite ends of that spectrum here in the state of Oregon, because the Ducks are a team right now where the expectation is go win a national title, right? And you ask Lanning all these questions. Is this the year? Do you feel pressure? He kind of has to give his stately things. And do you really want Dan Lanning to sit there and be like, yeah, I feel the pressure?
Guys, you would not believe it. Keeps me up all night.
Or if he sees some faults in the team right now, do you think he's going to go to the Big Ten Media Day and be like, you know what, we are really good, but I don't know if Dante has it, or something like that. You don't want them to be honest there. And then on the other side, you're obviously at risk of, you don't want to before the season even starts, tell your fans to brace yourselves. This is going to be rough. But I do think that on that end, there is at least a little bit of, because you just had one of the worst possible seasons in Oregon State history, and it felt like there was no plan. It felt like there was kind of some gaslighting, like this coach isn't as bad as like what we're seeing on the field. And so I think there is a little bit of, Oregon State football fans are smart enough to like look at this and be like, we're not going to like change this thing completely in 1 year. Like, I don't think they came into the year thinking they're going to win 8 or 9 games this season. So I think it helps to bring in a coach who seemingly has a plan, like has made solid progress in the offseason, but is also like, I'm not going to bullshit you guys. Like, what you saw last year was real, and I'm not a miracle. It's just kind of like, okay, like he knows. Like you just want a coach who like isn't coming in and like you're suddenly like, this guy doesn't understand the situation he's in. Like, I think at least in that first year, there's a little grace period of that. Where you get in trouble is then, like, if you say that the first year and then year 2, year 3, year 4, you still haven't made kind of that progress. But
which is it, because you do see that sometimes where coaches come in and they start clearly haven't watched any other film on any other teams. They're only looking at their own team and go like, we are going to turn some heads. You watch, be prepared this year. We're going to do some things. And they're like, you're 4-8. Like, I mean, I wonder who I'm talking about here, but maybe you wore a cowboy hat or something and sold out.
Our guys are going to play harder.
Yeah. But, you know, like you do get those coaches who just don't have a grasp on reality. And maybe that's how to be a head coach, you have to be crazy. I've convinced myself of this. Like, you have to be just like to believe that this many high-end athletes and this many subordinates all are looking at you, and that there is no one else in the world that is capable of doing that job but you. Like, you have to be wired a little bit different. So I do see that from some coaches who come in and are like, you guys are all doubting us, but we're gonna show something to the haters out there, right? Yeah. We're gonna, you just wait. We're gonna turn some heads, and then it's like, you didn't turn any heads. But then I do kind of like the refreshing aspect of a coach going like, we're gonna go through it this year. Yeah. We're gonna try our best, and we're gonna hopefully get better. But we need you to stick with it. I don't know if that's the message you want to hear in August, but I do like it because I get so frustrated. It was one of my biggest frustrations when I was actively a member of the media, which is media gets so annoyed with coach speak, right? We may talk about Chip Kelly a little bit later on in the pod. Like, for 4 years, Chip Kelly, he ran a script. It was a faceless opponent. Every game is the Super Bowl. Everybody is day to day. We take it one play at a time. And he did that for 4 years. And a lot of people in Eugene got very upset about that. But then the moment another coach will come out and say something honest, we pile on.
We jump on him.
And I'm like, if I'm going to ask for honesty, I'm going to then reward honesty. So I find it very frustrating that there's a lot of people on the internet who are like, boy, not the message you want to hear from your coach. It's like, okay, but what if he came out and was like, hey, we're taking it day by day?
I mean, we kind of did that to Mark Helfrich a little bit, and the context here is the season was completely going off the rails at this point. But like, he was a guy who came out of the Chip Kelly mold, and I think his first couple of years when he was head coach, he was very much, I'm going to try to be Chip in terms of like how I address the media, how I run everything. And I don't think that helped in the Mark Helfrich is just a Chip Kelly, a not as good Chip Kelly clone type of thing. But then you get to the 2016 season, they're just getting their butts kicked every game. And I believe it was after the Washington game, which I don't know if you remember that one, Justin.
I don't. I blacked out about halftime.
But I think Helfrich's quote after that was, "This feels like we got hit by a train, or it was a train wreck or something." And like, people jumped on him for that quote, and it's like, what did you want him to say after that? Like that. Like, both teams played hard.
Both teams played hard. You know, a couple of bounces go our way. That's a different score. You know, like, no.
Yeah,
which is funny because like we're in the middle of college football like talking season right now, right? And so on one hand, you've got the Oregon State coach being blatantly honest, saying we're going to go through it, and then there's Lane Kiffin, who I don't know if you saw what he said when asked about why he didn't tell the team at Ole Miss he was leaving, and he said it was because he was spending so much time fighting to be able to coach that playoff game that ultimately after that fight it got out and he couldn't have a team meeting to
Man.
tell his team that he was leaving to a better paying job.
What a selfless guy.
I know. Like that, like that's the other, like that's what we like.
Well, okay, so the one parallel that I'm thinking about with the Oregon State thing is I covered Portland State off and on for the last like 10 years or so, and Bruce Barnum is probably when he was coaching, was probably the most honest to a fault coach that I've ever come across. And you'd come around in August and you'd look at their schedule where at their level they have to play like 4 paycheck games just to like keep their program alive, and then you jump into the Big Sky, which has defending national champion Montana State. Montana's a power. Eastern Washington won a national. Like basically, I'd go there every August and be like, "All right, Barney, like how's it going to be?" He's like, "I actually don't hate our team this year. I hope we can be 500." You know, like to a fault, or just like, boy, if we don't get our asses kicked these first 3 games and my team's healthy going into the regular season, maybe we have a chance.
We got a shot, yeah.
And I appreciated that from a reporting perspective because it's just like, this is refreshing. I've been dealing with the Ducks for so long, and then here you have somebody who's just going to like come out and say it. At the same time, if I was like a Portland State fan, I don't know how much because like that's how it was every year. And towards the end of the season, they'd finish probably like 4 and a game or 2 under 500. They'd maybe play a decent game towards the end, and Barney would use that to like, all right, like we've turned the
Yeah.
And then you'd get to August, and it's like Groundhog Day, like every single year. And so I think you can use the bear with me card like once or twice, like maybe space it out after like once every 10 years if you make it that long at it.
So what you're saying, like, so after this season, if you're Oregon State, hey, we need you to stick with with us through the advert. Like, this is it. You've played the card.
The thing is I don't know if I would have used it this year. I would have maybe used it next year, because I think this year there is maybe a little expectation that like, hey, it's first year, it's this new thing. And then maybe you lose, who's the quarterback? Malik. Maybe he has a great season this year, and then they lose him, and their quarterback just sucks next year. And then maybe that's the year he could use the, hey, like we're making some progress. This is a temporary step back. The sophomore slump before the junior rise.
Here's what it reminds me of. Back in the day, I used to really like the TV show The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. I don't know how familiar you are with The Bachelor, Bachelorette franchise. It has fallen off as of late. It's not what it was. But back then...
Have you transitioned to the golden side of things?
I have not.
Okay.
No, I'm kind of completely out on all of the dating shows. But back in, like, a lot of times, if you were a contestant on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, you could play I've went through some trauma, and it would get you essentially a pass to next week.
Yeah.
Like they love, like you get your one-on-one and you're able to cry and
collect 200, go pass go.
Exactly. But there was always the people, like you mentioned, they played the trauma card too early. And it's like they felt the pressure of maybe I'm not getting enough attention, so therefore I'm not going to get a rose. Here's my childhood trauma story. Or my dating trauma story.
It's like using your closer in the second inning.
It's exactly like that, and
it might get you out of that inning, but
by week 4, you're not getting a rose, and meanwhile somebody else is coming in on the group date with a much better trauma story, and you can't then play another one. You can't be like, oh, well, I know I told you about this, but wait till you hear about this.
Oh, that was my warm up.
Because then you seem like a weirdo. So yeah, do you think? Hopefully he didn't play the stick with us through adversity too soon. I like to play, though.
Again,
I like at some point, somebody at Oregon State, and I know Beaver fans love it when I talk about what they got to do at Oregon State, coming from an Oregon homer who has notoriously hated Oregon State his entire life. But at some point, right, somebody's got to get realistic about, look, the new Pac-12 is not the old Pac-12. We are not playing the same football as the teams we used to play with. We have to change our focus and figure out a way to be better than Boise and Utah State and San Diego State. And that's the new goal.
New dating show idea.
Let's hear it.
Same basic concept as Bachelor, Bachelorette, but instead of contestants, it's a bunch of sports commentators and or sports writers, and you're going after the one girl. And at the end of every one of those dates, or there then has to be a press conference that the person who was just on the date then gets grilled by the rest of the writers, and you kind of have to break down like, this was my game plan. This is I used the trauma too early.
like the post round, like the post round golf match. It was like, yeah. Boy, it was. We came into this show high hopes. We really had high hopes out there. You gotta say we, even though you're individual, but it's we because it's you and your team.
Now that the season's here, has it hit you? Does it matter? Have you even thought about it that Oregon State's not on the schedule this year?
Has not
because I had kind of completely forgot about it until I realized that the Apple Cup's happening in week 1, which is. I actually kind of like that. I like that better than the random week 3 before you're getting ready for conference games or like, if you're going to have this weird game that isn't
put it on Labor Day weekend, you make a whole thing out of it.
Yeah.
I'm with you. But it hasn't hit me till you just said it because I know it's coming back in
27, I think.
27.
Yeah.
So, it's not like it's going away. It's just a weird scheduling snafu, but. I'll be very curious to see what college football looks like in a year for both programs and whether or not they start talking buyout and they start saying do we really need to do this? I do that is a good idea. Like Labor Day weekend, that's when you have Civil War and Apple Cup and you kind of have it like a de facto homecoming. We kind of remember the good old days and then summer's now over and we go on about our
it's
way.
It's like
a fun family reunion. Remember?
It's like D3 Mighty Ducks where like the varsity scrimmages to the JV before the seasons begin. Not that I'm calling Oregon State.
I mean the premise
JV.
of D3 the Mighty Ducks, by the way. It's like, wait, so you go
how do you make the movie with like only getting maybe 10 minutes of Emilio Estevez in it?
That and there's also I understand you have to take some liberties in movies, but your JV team's going to win a scrimmage and you're just going to change the mascot of the team. And by the way,
which was maybe they were getting ahead of it. Maybe they thought it was going to be a problematic mascot like the original one. I think it was I think
it was.
Yeah.
But you're right. Maybe they had the foresight, but also
go Ducks.
They have been wanting to in Mighty Ducks or D2, the Mighty Ducks.
The good one.
They didn't want to be USA. They wanted to be the USA Ducks. Again, what are we and the Ducks were only named that because of Mr. Ducksworth, the
quack,
Mr. Ducksworth, the founding lawyer of the law firm that Gordon Bombay worked at as a corporate sponsor, and they had one good season. And we're just renaming USA and what was
Isn't it ironic that the Pee Wee hockey team was the Ducks because of a corporate sponsor, and then the NHL's Ducks was named the Ducks because Disney was their corporate.
Yeah. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
We're just in one
my head hurts.
JV scrimmage, we're just going to change and then now they're the varsity. Anyways. What were we saying? Oh yeah. So for years, this is let's throw out an idea for Civil War future, right? And I don't know how I know scheduling, you got to do 8 years in advance, even though somehow we figured it out in COVID that we could schedule a game on a Tuesday. But when I was growing up, the Myers family, the extended Myers family, we always had a Labor Day barbecue family reunion every Labor Day.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it was funny because it was actually right over there.
Really?
Yeah, it was very close to where we are at right now.
Where was it?
It was over at my Uncle Fred's house.
I didn't know he was a NOPO guy.
Yeah. Big time NOPO.
No wonder you and I get along so
exactly.
well.
Yeah. R.I.P. Uncle Fred will be missed, but his name was Fred Myers. Yes. That never got confusing ever.
Was there ever a time where you couldn't find something and you could find it at his house?
Unfortunately,
it was on your list and. What's on your list?
Oh, I know.
Today?
I'm sure you never heard that ever. But
you'll find it.
It's funny because that was the end of summer for my entire childhood. Was we would go up to Uncle Fred's. The whole Myers family we would hear the same stories of my dad and his brothers and sisters growing up. I could recite them word for word every year, and then we would say goodbye on Sunday and go on about going back to school. So maybe that's what Civil War needs. It's we have a Labor Day weekend game. We talk about, hey, Remember 01?
Maybe-
remember
maybe-
like that Keenan Howery put. Oh, but you remember 2000 and the double overtime.
So
And you just
maybe there's no game, and instead it's a Labor Day weekend. Split the tickets half and half at one of the stadiums, and it's just a stories night.
Yeah.
And if it's in Corvallis, it just gets to be Corvallis people that come out, and Ducks fans have to sit there and they have to watch it, and then they have to listen to
the old even like the old guy, like Rich Brooks comes back to tell the stories when he played for the Beavers, and then he comes back and tells when he coached for the Ducks, and then and then we move on about our season.
They could do like a flag football game, or maybe
so nobody gets hurt.
yeah.
But yeah, interesting Labor Day weekend, Apple Cup, but no Civil War this year.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll watch the Apple Cup. It'll be fun.
I fought forever for Oregon State to keep it on the schedule. I went to the game in week 3. It felt a little weird. It doesn't have the same, like, at some point I guess you just have to admit that like they're playing two different sports at this point.
I mean, ultimately, I would still rather have Oregon State on the schedule than Portland State in week 3, but
I would as well. Yeah.
But at the same time, I would rather have any FBS school than Portland State in week 3. So, okay, so I was down at practice yesterday.
Yes.
It was a pretty light day in terms of who's who. We talked with offensive line coach Alik Terry,
who is shining at training camp right now, Tyson. Who is stepping up? Is the offense progressing faster than the defense? Is there worries? Are there concerns?
Well, yesterday the offense had some good drives, and then today the defense. I don't know. We haven't seen a minute of it. I'm not going to pretend like, as we just said, there's very few coaches out there who are going to come out and be like, we suck at the start of the year. So,
but I feel like we talked about playing the card. I feel like Dan Lanning has one, like, we didn't do anything right today. We got to get a lot of stuff fixed. One card. When he really wants to, like, fire up the guys.
Yeah.
Like, he'll go out and he will, like, one press conference, he will rip them. And just be like, no, we did not execute today.
He is talking later this afternoon. It is the second week of fall camp. I feel like this is probably kind of
we got to get a lot better.
Yeah.
There's some things we got to really have to clean up and buckle down on, and I told them.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel about the same about them as I did 2 weeks ago. But we also talked with special teams coordinator Joe Lorig, and fascinating dude. And I think he's got to be tired because everybody else, all the other Oregon coaches are getting asked, you have so many returners. Like, this has got to be so good. Your team is great. And Joe's got a place kicker to replace. He's got a punter to replace. He's got a long snapper to replace. It's a little stressful, I think. I think he's actually probably most stressed about the long snapper position because everyone thinks that, like, kicker and punter. And, if you didn't know Oregon's long snapper's name the last 4 years, that means he did a good job. He was a fellow by the name of Luke Basso. He's in Denver Broncos training camp right now. But, yeah, that's one of those positions that if the guy's bad, you'll know it, like, pretty quickly. But in terms of place kicking, you're replacing Atticus Sappington, who, Justin, just getting the temperature of the room, your instant reaction when I ask Atticus Sappington, good or bad?
Very good.
Very good.
Incredibly good.
And how many kickers in Oregon history do you feel that way about?
Not that many.
So this is probably relatively big shoes to fill. So
it's true. And so I've always wondered this for years, because when Oregon was running the blur offense and the no huddle and they're always going for it. And then also, like, Lanning has always been very bold. Is like, I'm going to go for it when I have to. And I'm going to coach aggressive. Does that hurt in trying to find a good kicker? Because if I'm a good kicker, I want to go to Iowa where they never go for it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Give me a 3 yards in a cloud of dust and let me kick 48 yarders all day and pad my college stats so that I could maybe get drafted or an invite to camp. I don't want to go and sit and warm up and be ready to run out and kick a 38-yard field goal. Like, nope, we're going for it.
True.
So I've always wondered that, like, even going back to, like, the Chip Kelly years, because fast, we're going for it. And then, like, they never kicked. And then when they needed to kick, they notoriously missed. So
that was something that I've definitely talked to Aiden Schneider about
Yeah.
And it was just because he was in kind of the Helfrich Taggart years, and that's when they were still scoring a lot of points. It's when they were still going for too much. There was a game in Nebraska in 2016. I don't know if you remember.
Tyson.
I don't know if you remember
went
that
for
one.
5 times. Yeah. And if he had just kicked the field goal, like the math said, if you just kick the extra point on every one of them, you walk out with a win. Yeah.
Aiden didn't
Not
have
that I
the
remember
experience of being like a big time high school kicker who like had like his choice of like which badass kicking school do I want to go to. He was a soccer player. He was walking at Oregon. He ended up being really good because the starting kicker in front of him got knocked out in the locker room by another player over an argument. I don't know how much that's been talked about, but that's how Aiden Schneider became the best kicker in Oregon history. Like it's but he would tell me that, yeah, it would be tough because you're just like, there'd be some games where you're just like, we're scoring touchdowns every 2 drives and I don't get an opportunity to get out there. And then 4 weeks later, we're in the one tough game that we play this season and I have to go make a kick.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably, if I'm a kicker, I maybe, but on the other hand, I do think a lot of these kickers, and I don't know how it is with the new NFL kickoff rule, but I do think they get graded quite a bit on their kickoff leg, and at least at Oregon, you can really
they'd be kicking off a lot the first couple weeks, hopefully. Yeah.
But the one thing that Joe was talking about with Gage yesterday is he kicked. I think he was 16 for 16 last year in extra points. Atticus still did all the field goal stuff, but one of the things Joe's talked about is I knew this kid was going to be our guy next year, and you can see the leg in practice. You can see the accuracy. You can see all these things. He's like, I still believe that there's a big difference on when you get out there and the crowd's going and the butterflies and the energy. So I think this is actually kind of brilliant. He's like, I want Gage to do all those extra points last year just so he has a little bit of a taste before you dive into the waters of being the guy this year. Whether that makes it, I think there's quite a bit of a difference in pressure from an extra point to a give Atticus credit, like you just talked about Iowa. Atticus won that game at Iowa.
100%. Yeah, in like absolute miserable weather. So I know we mentioned it before we hit record. You had Sappington, you had Schneider. Now you have this new kid,
Gage Hurrick.
And hopefully
I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, so sorry, Gage. But.
Well, and I hope that I keep pronouncing his name wrong because that means he's just making kicks and I'm not noticing him, which the best for this kid. Hopefully I never have to learn his name because usually that's not really a good thing. Or he hits a game winner. But that seems to be like the last lineage of like the state of Oregon,
right?
On this team, and I don't think as an Oregonian, I don't care. Go get the big defensive linemen from Texas and California and get the very fast DBs from Florida. I do not care because once they step on Autzen turf and put that O on their helmet, they're de facto Oregonians. But from a program that used to have a sprinkling of home, like there's Justin Herbert, there's Kellen Clemens, there's Joey Harrington, like premier players that were from the state. It feels like now it's the kicker.
Well, I'm trying to think of like who is the, cause especially now that Betcher's gone, like who is the Ducks Oregonian this year?
I don't know. I should probably know it. Off the top of my head, no idea.
I mean, it might end up being Gage.
And
because I mean, like you still have a third string. Well, I mean, they might do the air quotes and say he's the backup this year, but you still have Brock Thomas, who's from Sheldon. But yeah, I mean, it's just about every other position. I feel like that in the past you'd have 1 or 2 Oregonian guys that could kind of like sift through a bit. But even like 10 years ago, every class or two, there's probably like 3 or 4 4-star recruits from the state of Oregon. There's very rarely a 5. And Oregon would maybe pick 1 or 2 of them, and then they go other places, and it would be a good get for them. Now it's just like the 4-star guys in Oregon aren't really all that close to the 4 or 5-star guys that you can get from like all over the country. So you've seen a lot of, especially in the sizable positions like you talked about, like on defensive line, like those are all out of state dudes.
Yeah.
I don't know what other position, but and the funny thing too, it's not like Oregon has like this huge like college kicking academy or like high school kicking academy. They all do the same thing. They go to that like Chris Russo, like those. But yeah, that's 3 in the last like 10 years that have been really good. Are kickers for are kicking for Oregon are from Oregon, and maybe other than quarterback, just because you can say that that's like the one position that Oregon's been okay at producing in state. Like, I don't know.
So here's my idea. Tell me what you think about this. I thought of this idea, right? You mentioned that maybe this is kind of becoming a thing that us Oregonians can kind of identify with and can kind of latch onto. Here's my idea. Oregon has always been notorious, at least in the past, has been very outspoken about we don't do tradition. Mm-hmm. Traditions for the other guys. Traditions for USC. Traditions for Ohio State. We don't do tradition. And they
tradition eats turkey on Thanksgiving.
Exactly right. Even though turkey on Thanksgiving.
So, like when else would you eat turkey?
Exactly. But this whole Oregon being really good at football thing has been going on for like almost 30 years now.
So are you saying the swerve is to?
Well, what I'm saying is if the motorcycle didn't come out of the tunnel and we didn't do shout at the end of the third quarter, which are traditions, I think maybe some folks would be a little disappointed. Mm-hmm. So maybe there's some room. Maybe there's some room to kind of play the blue blood game as well as the we're still the cool kid with graffiti that we paid for on the walls of the office game. So what if one, it doesn't have to be the kicker, maybe it's the long snap, somebody on the special teams who is from our great state, and we give them, they get the number 33. Oregon is the 33rd state of the union.
It's like that 37 that we've talked about that they give to the one Montana linebacker like every year.
Yes. Yeah. So Oregon being the 33rd state into the union. Because like
you could have like a whole NIL sponsorship deal around it.
Really could. Yeah. Is there a business in the state of Oregon, founded in the state of Oregon?
You know what? Actually,
is there a company, a global company?
We might have specialist money. The I-5 corridor presents the Oregon kicker. Oh, you were talking about Nike.
I didn't know what I was talking about, but I was just saying. I think there was maybe like a special this is the 30 33 because Texas A&M has the 12th man. Mm-hmm. I think USC they're the best linebacker wears 55. Like they have legacy numbers. That's it. 33 for one Oregon special teams player. And who's from here, they just get the number.
I'm in.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Fix that. Sweet. What else you got?
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about it's been a pretty dismal baseball season as a Seattle Mariners fan, Justin.
You came in with very high hopes.
Yeah, and it's one of those, and it's like the worst possible thing too,
like
where
a pitch away from the World Series.
They're like 10 games under 500, but they're really only like 4 or 5 games out of the playoffs. So you're still in that I kind of have to pay attention, but it's just we've been sports fans long enough to know that there are just certain vibes seasons, and this is the vibes are way off, and you just know it's not getting better. And so it ended up being just kind of a massive, massively disappointing season from the Mariners' perspective.
Nothing
too,
with
because
you and that raccoon?
Yeah.
Nothing?
Jimothy
didn't do anything.
So ultimately, it's turned into the most Mariners season ever. Because here's a year where you're supposed to be good, where you maybe didn't take the risks you needed to in the offseason, and you're like, we're gonna let our young talent just carry us there. Then you end up being really disappointing, and the only things that you can point to that. And Mariners are really good at hyping up everything other than baseball is a freaking weird raccoon that was running around the city. And it's the 50th anniversary of the Seattle Mariners.
Yes.
And there is nobody better at celebrating past mediocrity than the Seattle Mariners. So they went all in on this event. And as part of that, a couple nights before,
so they're trying to spotlight on the 95 team?
I think this is the 5th anniversary of the 25th anniversary celebration of the 10th year celebration of the 1995 team. Anyways, 4 or 5 nights ago, it's 10:30 p.m. The Mariners had just lost a game, I think 3-2 to the Rays. Mm-hmm. And the Mariners go, all right, everybody, stay in your seats. We're doing an alumni home run derby. So they bring in noted Mariner celebrities such as Bucky Jacobson.
Yes.
Stephen Romero.
Got it.
who else? Oh, Ryan Healy, former Oregon Duck. Ryan Roland Smith, who's a
He was a
pitcher,
but he's Australian.
and so everyone's just going like, this is kind of fun. But then the grand finale was Ichiro also participated.
Yes,
who I believe is 51 years old, and the allure of this is throughout Ichiro's entire MLB career. The thing was, boy, if Ichiro wanted to hit 40 home runs, he even said it. He's like, I could hit 40 home runs. You would just need me to hit 220 on the season, which, by the way, these days is fantastic if you're hitting 220 and hitting 40 home runs. But also, everyone thought that he could win the home run derby if he really wanted to, and he never.
That was always kind of the Ichiro lore. It was the legend is like he could hit 40 home runs and win the home run derby if he wanted.
Right.
But why would anyone want to when you could just hit singles?
I mean, and it's kind of in the similar vein of like LeBron James never entered the dunk competition, right?
Yes.
But we all kind of went, that guy would have won it, and it would have been fun to see. So Ichiro never did this, but if you went to batting practice at any time during his career, you could occasionally see him hit 3 or 4 home runs in a row with that little sweet swing, and it's all hand-eye coordination. And here he is now, 51 years old. Mariners just lost. Feels like the most Mariner season ever. I've watched about an hour of this alumni home run derby where about 5 home runs have been hit total. And Ichiro comes up, and I'm ready to believe. Like, I'm like, you know what?
Believe the blue.
I'm just like, you know what? This guy physically looks about the same as when he was playing. He still gets in a uniform almost every damn day. He goes out and plays catch. He's probably taking batting practice. Like, it's one of the last few things that I was just like, this makes no sense, but damn it, I want to see this guy hit a few home runs. And first 2 swings, I think ground balls, and you're just going like, you know what, and then he hits one. Then it's like 2 more ground balls, and you're like, all right, at least he left the park.
He got one.
But Bucky Jacobson hit 2, I think, and that guy's got probably 100 pounds on each row. And then he hits 4 in a row, like just easy swings. Like it's kind of like, when you go to the golf course, someone's like, hey, just slow down that swing, just make contact with the ball. It looks like that. And it's the sweetest looking thing. And he hits 4 straight into the right field stands. The crowd's going nuts. Like everyone, like it seemed like was suddenly like Mariners. Like we're like, and I left that feeling like so happy that I could like see a little bit on that TV, and then also just like really pissed off that like we're back here. Because I feel like over the last 2 years of the Mariners being decent, I've kind of gotten over the, I enjoy being a lovable loser. Kind of like the woe is me. That's my it's like you kind of felt like you were turning that. Like, I'm a winner, Justin. Like I don't need an alumni home run derby to.
Yeah, we don't need to sit here and just keep celebrating the past.
I don't need a day after a raccoon goes viral for you to spend all the money to get a raccoon suit out running the track, when you couldn't have gotten like a middle reliever or,
Fair enough.
I thought we were turning that corner. I thought we were, we're a real organization. But then you get that, and then I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess this is why I'm a Mariners fan inherently. It's just.
I mean, look, nostalgia is undefeated. Once it hits that, hey, remember this, it never goes away. And let me tell you, because I've got a couple years on you, it doesn't get any better. Like, it's just. What's going to be crazy is you're going to be to a point when you were my age, right? And the Mariners are, good Lord willing, or Jerry DiPoto willing, can, figure it out. There's going to be some kid that you're on, like, when you're covering Oregon, you're going to be in the press box. There's going to be some new kid who's maybe like, he does some Mariner stuff, and he's going to be talking about how Ichiro wasn't even really that good. And you're going to be like, whoa, wait a minute. You weren't there. It's like, yeah. But if you look at the numbers and you look at like WAR and actually this guy who we don't even know right now, like he might not even be in the minor leagues. He's probably playing high school baseball right now, and he's going to play for the Mariners in like 8 years. And there's going to be some kid talking, yeah, this guy's way better than Ichiro. And you're going to be like, no, you don't understand. Let me tell you about the time at the alumni home run derby. And then, this is what I do at my work when talking about Michael Jordan, is I have to do that. No, you guys don't understand. You weren't there. You don't get it, okay? He decided he was just going to play baseball, and then he came back.
And he hit like 240. Or maybe that's inflating it a little bit.
He hit more like 200. But He was still figuring it out. 220 double A.
Yeah, I mean, that's where all the stars are.
So yeah, that's just know that it doesn't get better. Is that you're gonna be. I cannot wait because I'll be long retired. I'm gonna be a very mean marshal on a golf course somewhere, confiscating your counterfeit beers and then saving them for myself. And you're gonna be like, these kids, Justin. And you're going to yell at them about how Ichiro could have hit 40 if he wanted to. And they're like, nah. That's what's going to happen. Just so you know, that's your future. Crystal ball. I see it. But it's fun.
I got a thing that's grinding my gears this week.
Okay. I do too. Let's dive into it.
In addition to that, went golfing with a couple friends Sunday morning. We had a 6:15 a.m. tee time Sunday morning. That's probably the earliest tee time I've had in maybe a decade or so. You kind of do the night before. Everyone's just like, who scheduled this thing? Like,
yeah. Seems like a great idea. Like 2 days before, like we're going to get up early.
We had a friend in town. Like his flight was at 2 p.m. to leave. You know, it's just like, let's get this out of the way and wake up, send a text to the group text. That's about 4 letters. And then we get to the course and we're playing at Wildwood. And we got to the course, and none of us are like go hit range balls, like especially that early. It's just like just show up, get there. We'll hopefully by hole 5 or 6 we're warmed up. But so we get there about 5:55, check in, and we're like, could we get a breakfast sandwich or something? And Wildwood normally has a lot of really good food options, and they're like, you guys are here so early that we haven't started. Like we have no breakfast stuff ready yet. It's like, okay, mildly annoyed, like why have a 6:15 tea time and have a breakfast option and not like were we supposed to get it beforehand? And that involves us waking up even earlier. But you know what? We'll come around like at the turn and we'll be fine. Get to the turn, they're telling us, oh, like we're and we see them cooking bacon, we see them cooking eggs, and they're like, we're still behind on this. Like, you're gonna have to wait. So we're like, okay. Finish up 18. It's like 9:30. Like it was a very quick round, like 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Get to the concession area. Would love a breakfast sandwich. Did you pre-order one? No? Well, we don't have any. Like all of our breakfast sandwiches were just pre-order. But we have hot dogs and Polish sausages if you want. It's the same person we talked to in all
same
three.
Same guy who never could have mentioned, hey, just so you know, you're going to want to pre-order one if you do.
Yeah.
Like we're running behind, but you know what you should do? Maybe pre-order. That way, when you finish your round, we'll get you a breakfast sandwich. Yeah. Thanks for coming to our golf course.
And also, we were the first people on the course too, so it's not like. Yeah,
and maybe there's a reason why. If we could do like. I mean, you are a big J journalist. Like you do, award-winning.
Hold on,
yeah, I smudged it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You do award-winning short features, category D, for crying out loud.
Those are the big.
A lot of people think category. No, that's fluff.
Yeah.
You get into the.
You got the A's. You got the B's. The C's.
They're the biggest. So if we could, there's got to be some kind of deep. We'd have to go undercover, maybe like months of like deep. The disconnect from the food and the golf at a golf course. If I live to be 100, I will never understand because they work at the same place, right? So you would think that they would talk like, hey, kitchen, we got tea time starting at 6:15. Probably a good time to have 8 or 9 breakfast sandwiches or burritos just hot and ready to go. I bet you we would sell them. No, they're going to take or like I've done this where you show up an hour before your tea time. Sandwich, a beer, and some range balls before you play. Like, doesn't that just sound like a? And then you go to the restaurant part, and the idea of getting anything out fast,
right,
at a golf course where time, like isn't, you're in 7-minute increments, and you're on the golf course. There is somebody, again, who I am going to be in my retirement years. I'm the mean marshal. I can't wait. It was like, guys, we got to pick it up.
I got a story on that.
We got to pick this up. But no one at the restaurant who makes the club sandwiches and the French fries, like they don't ever, do they not talk?
The only
Like,
place,
is there
the only
any-
comparable place is the next to your gate restaurant at the airport. Oh yeah, I got an hour and a half until boarding. This should be a breeze.
Should not be a problem, right? To sit down, because no one at an airport wants to eat and drink in a timely manner.
No.
It leisurely, traditionally, like a European style experience of a good 2 hours. Yeah, at an airport. Same thing at a golf course, right? Like, no one really wants to get their food in a like. I've never like.
You know what? Open a bottle of wine. We're just gonna take this in. We're just gonna.
If they could only just, and like, also both parts of the golf course are now annoyed with you.
Yeah.
If you want your food faster at the bar and grill, they seem to get annoyed. You show up 3 minutes after your tea time, they are also annoyed. Like, you guys realize you caused this. I just wanted a turkey sandwich.
Around hole 7 or 8, do you kind of take a look back and kind of judge the group behind you to assess of like, are these going to be like, we're going to get beers and dogs at the turn? Like, do I have time to go in there and get this, or are these guys going to be right on my butt?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You have to assess. You also have to assess your own group.
Yeah.
Because, I think I've got a pretty good idea who my friends are. And then you get a friend who's like, I
use the bathroom.
I'm going to get in there. And like, yeah, go ahead and play through. And now we're behind and they're slow. And you really wanted the steak sandwich, huh? At the turn. So you just ignored the phone or the thing that says you could call it. No, got it.
So you talked about your future of being the angry marshal. This round also included what I think was one of my best interactions that I've ever had with the marshal. Because again, tee time 6:15. We got on the course at like 6:05. We're there a little bit early. We didn't have to eat breakfast. And we're flying through the course. There's nobody in front of us. We're even hitting, some breakfast balls, a couple extra things. And like, we're on 18, like 3 hours and 20 minutes into the round. Like, we're making good time. We're coming up onto the green, which, by the way, I had a terrible round of golf. I shot a 101, but I birdied the last hole, like a real birdie. I'm taking it. Like,
Love it.
So I'm walking up to the green, to go putt my ball in, and the marshal, it's like 9-ish o'clock. He's just coming up the back. He's just starting for the day. He, in his mind, like, nobody's this far yet. Like, I don't need to. And so he comes up and he kind of gives us like what are you guys?
Who are you and why are you here?
Yeah, he thought that we were just walking onto the course, and he's like, what are you guys doing? We're like, finishing our round. What time did you start? 6:15. What's your was grilling us?
Yeah.
And I was like, I gotta go. Like, 6:15 Alger. I gotta go hit this putt. And he's
I
like,
have a birdie putt. No big deal.
and then but it was just like, gotcha.
I know.
And I don't inherently get mad at that guy, because I want to, just like you, I want to be him. And like I don't want to be a happy marshal. Like,
no. That's not the job.
No.
The job is to make people who are enjoying a leisurely activity as irritated as possible.
Yeah.
Like, that's especially like, I think that's, they realize, like, golf is on a sunny day.
It's too good.
It's too good.
It's Icarus.
So what we're going to, too close to the sun. So what we're going to do, we're going to be like, we're going to slow you down on one and speed you up on the other, so you don't know which way is which. So wait, are we just chilling and waiting for sandwiches, or are we hurrying up?
Yeah.
And then when we do hurry, we get accused of stealing.
Correct.
Got it.
Yeah. All right, your turn.
It's not as good as that, so that's a tough one to follow. It's very good.
Yeah.
So 6 years ago, if you remember, summer of 2020, crazy time. Wife and I got very lucky, very fortunate. We were house hunting all summer. It was a weird real estate market. Then bought our house, and I, with my wife, then became a homeowner. I was an apartment guy for a lot of my adult life, but now here I am. I have a home. Over the course of years, Tyson, I became obsessed with my yard, to where I completely redid my front yard. I redid the retaining wall, the backyard. I've created an outdoor oasis in the backyard. And, when I was working in morning radio, I had a lot of time in the afternoon to continue to keep up my yard, and I took a lot of pride in it. Since then, obviously my work has changed, and I don't have the same amount of time as I did, but my yard's still pretty good. Yeah. It's not what it was.
It's not like employee of the season good, but
exactly. But it's still the best yard on the block, if I do say so myself.
Man, I didn't know you were a yard guy, and obviously you judge yards based on that. And
do not judge yards. I definitely don't look and see what I could do with your yard.
I was going to say I'm going to have to do some things before you show up.
Definitely don't look at the potential of what. Boy, you just give me like 6 weeks since.
You know what? Take it.
I don't. Unfortunately, I don't have the time for my own. So, but I've always liked the fact that you drive on my street. You're like, well, that guy's got a good yard.
Yeah. Look at that picket fence.
And out of nowhere, I like on my front porch, like how like some people will put like a hey, there's like a camp or here. There's a card.
Was it for
landscaping service? So I don't know. Do I take this as a compliment? Going, this guy obviously cares about his yard. Maybe
This would be like going to like a Victoria's Secret's fashion show and bringing you like your card as like a plastic surgeon.
Yeah, like hey, I can help you with that.
It's like no, there's uses for your services, but probably the wrong room.
And so, or do I like take offense to be like, wait? I know it's not what it was, but this is still the best yard on the block. You really feel like putting landscaping duties on my front door? So I was a little offended.
I think you're gonna have to send us some before and after photos of.
Oh, I could do that.
Yeah,
I could do that, no problem.
I feel like your lawn's still probably pretty nice.
It is pretty nice.
See,
it's still good.
Like I think you should just respect that this person is obviously like grading you on like an elite, like a higher scale.
That's what I'm wondering is like
because like yours is still better than everybody else's, but it's just like my MJ only averaged 22 with the Wizards. Like still pretty good.
Pretty good, but compared to his old self, I know. And so like the likelihood is some very hardworking person walked up and down multiple blocks handing out multiple cards. But I decided that I was going to take it personal, like MJ. And at that point, I took it personal. So I got to dial in that yard. I got to prove who's this guy who's never going to. I don't even know if this guy I don't even know.
I need you to follow him home and see what he's working with.
Yeah. What? Show me.
Yeah.
Show me what you got.
Yeah.
Let me see your landscaping expertise.
You think that's one of those things where like if you're a professional chef or like you're a line cook or something, you come home and like the last thing you want to do is like build have
exactly.
Actually, I asked Oregon's field maintenance guy like that same question. Like, so how's your grass at home? He's like, oh, it's nice.
Oh, it's nice. I think with if you go into landscaping, there are some jobs you do, there are some jobs you love, Tyson. I think that's got to be a job you love. I don't think if you just did landscaping, like...
I mean, it's like the same thing as like we wouldn't be doing this podcast if thousands of people weren't listening every day.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
why would we do it just for the love of just talking into microphones?
The love of the pod.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe we're just two guys who are like insecure about the level of our friendship, so we just use this as an excuse to just talk to each other each week because neither of us like want more, but we don't really want less either.
Or maybe it's like a fun thing to mention at parties, like, oh yeah, I talked about that on my podcast.
Oh, did you listen to the pod? Yeah.
It's on. What's it on? YouTube? You ever heard of it?
It's everywhere.
Yeah, where their podcasts are.
Yeah. Speaking of that, would really appreciate if you are listening either on Spotify or iTunes. I guess it's not iTunes anymore; it's Apple Podcasts.
Yes, Apple Podcasts.
If you could leave us a rating or review, that would help a lot, especially as we go into the football season. There is a lot of college football and Ducks podcasts out there, but everything that we can do, whether it's a rating to separate us from the others or talking about landscaping or what other rabbit holes did we go down today?
Somehow we keep coming back to Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, Mighty Ducks.
That was a passion project. Yeah. That's like legacy listeners of the pod. They know like when Justin and Tyson get on
our last pod, we're going to get Emilio Estevez on or Charlie Conway or that cake eater Adam Banks, and It'll be good.
All he did was make varsity. Like, what's wrong with that?
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back next week. Remember, you can follow us on YouTube as well. And Justin, anything else?
I got nothing.
All right, cool. See you guys later.